Peta Searle, single mum from Melbourne, has made Australian history.
At least force a conversation at board level that a female potentially could coach.
There was very little hesitation from me in putting her on as the very first.
I crawled so other people could walk in football. Look, I'm fine with that. I just think it's so important for the young men to have both male and female coaches. And as I think it's important for young women to have both male and female coaches. I was in the bassinet down at Darebin.
From the first day I left hospital, Mum had me in the bassinet down at Darebin watching the Saints.
Anything the boys would play, she would be out there playing with them, usually beating them.
I was a bit of a rat bag.
I was actually probably a little bit dirty because I am a bit of a competitive being.
I always had the footy boots on, and I think I used to cry if I had to put a dress on and go to a party, so...
Played 1 year at under-8s for Mordial at Brayside.
Dad had to go to the board and they had to give permission and all that type of stuff. You don't realise when you're 5 or 6 that you were never going to not play footy, and...
Yeah, it certainly wasn't celebrated like it is today, and...
Yeah, well, all we knew was the men's footy. You didn't think about women's footy because you didn't see it, so you didn't know any better. I found out when I was about 20 that there was a women's league, so then I started playing then. Playing the game for 10 years and, you know, while it wasn't at AFL, it was certainly at the elite level that I could, given my gender.
Yeah, it's an interesting day, the last day that I played a game of footy at Darebin and did my knee. The president of Darebin, Nikki Graves, rang and asked if I would coach. Yeah, so I took it on and the rest is a little bit history, isn't it? This was the Victorian Women's Football League before the AFLW even existed. We went from wooden spooners to grand finalists in one season. Then, the next 5 years, 5 consecutive premierships, a 3-year undefeated streak. Darebin didn't just rise, we roared and we put ourselves and women's football on the map.
Love it, love it, you love it!
Absolutely. You know, there was very little recognition in what we achieved as a group. I don't want to sound full of myself, but when you introduce it and you say, you know, it's 5 consecutive premierships, 3 years that you didn't lose a game, like, if you put that into a men's competition, the recognition for everyone that was involved in that would be certainly a lot more well known. You'd be put up on a pedestal, without a doubt.
I just want to take the opportunity while I'm standing up here to thank who I call the real pioneers of women's football. To my coaches, Peta Searle, who was the coach at Darebin for a long time and a true pioneer of women's footy. Thanks for your vision, Pete. I think you demanded more of me and our team than what the competition at that time demanded. So you guys were my role models and heroes, and I hope the induction of players like Erin and myself doesn't mean we skip your era.
I needed Darebin as much as probably Darebin needed me in its earlier days.
I really contemplated 1 year saying, OK, I just need to let go, I need to resign. There's been a lot of times along the way where, you know, juggling family life, juggling football, having to go back to work, that I actually thought, I can't keep doing this. Am I being selfish, coaching, parenting and going to work?
It's kind of complicated, you won't understand.
Yeah, look, I think work-life balance as a female with kids is difficult no matter what line of work you do. You know, the moment you make a decision that you have to go back to the workforce, there's always an element of guilt that you're going to have you know, with not being at home.
Influences on me as a person, definitely my grandmother and my mother. You know, Mum was supportive in those early Darebin years.
Together we've always made it work, and together we'll continue to make it work.
She's always said you can be and do anything you want to, but you have to put in the hard yards and do the work, and she's done that. She's an inspiration to everyone she comes across.
You know, I had my car and I'd put a bed in the car and all set, ready to coach, so I'll drive the car in between the change rooms and the ground so I could put the kids to sleep in the bed. I don't know if you guys remember that, probably not. While you all walked out and kicked the ball right there. And I only took 1 or 2 bad kicks and I'd hit the car and I'm like, you've got a whole oval. crying out loud. But now that you've all got kids, I hope you can now see the frustration.
Pete stands out for her ability to kind of bring people together. I wouldn't have got into coaching if it wasn't for Pete. She sort of shoved me forward.
2010 Grand Final, Northcote Park. Pete's coaching us. Umpire sends me off, do 10 minutes on the bench. Peter turns around to me, you'll do 10 more. So she made me sit for 20 in a grand final, right? So if a person's true to their values, they hold in those moments. For me now as a coach, it's definitely something I lean on. You know, I hope my daughter finds a place like Darebin so that she can be her whole self.
So we come to watch Mummy work? Yeah.
It can go either way with kids, kind of. Is they either follow your footsteps and love it, or they rebel and don't like it.
So what are you going to cheer?
If they have a choice to go to a footy game, no.
Who would want to do that?
Why would I want to do that? That's your thing.
Like, who would want to make a film about her? It's not like it's David Attenborough. What?
Fair call.
But I guess it's like become normalised because it is my life. Like, this is all I've been surrounded by. It's like anyone's mum. Like, they're not that, they're just your mum.
They're not that special.
I wasn't going to say that.
Okay, thank you. Oh, see, he does work. Did you see that?
Yeah, the camera saw it.
At times when I was coaching the girls and I was pregnant with my second child after the first one, and I was like, something's got to give, I've got to give this up. I still want to be coaching and involved, but family and finances, and I need to make some decisions next year about what happens and where I go, depending on, I guess, the resources. The reason for leaving was not necessarily because I wanted to prove myself, or I wanted to aspire to coach in the AFL, or I wanted to be the woman who broke the glass ceiling. It was, I just loved it, and the only way I could stay in it was I needed to be able to earn money to do it. And to earn money to do it, the only way you could do that is to be in a male program.
I'm just a man, doing what I can.
I was given an opportunity to do the level 3 coaching course. I was the only female. Everyone else were AFL players or AFL assistant coaches, and that's where I met Gary Ayres. Whilst everyone was supportive, he was interested.
She didn't bat an eyelid. She was confident. She was engaging, understands the game, knows the game, and she would probably put some gentlemen to shame.
Gary had said to me, I'm glad, I ran into you because there is a job opportunity at the VFL. Put in your application, and after, a couple of interviews, he granted me the position as an assistant coach of Port Melbourne Football Club.
I will lose control.
Keep it moving! Go wide, Spike, go wide. Come on, Langus, get up there, get some pressure.
I've got the utmost respect for Peta Searle because of what she's been able to do in a male-dominated environment, and she has not, at any stage, taken no for an answer.
Walking into a male environment is extremely intimidating. Let's put that on the table. I probably felt more pressure in being a role model once I hit the AFL. In an ideal world, would I love to be an AFL club? Absolutely. In an ideal world, would I love to be able to have another year at Port Melbourne? Absolutely as well. But see what the bank says at the end of the day.
Peta left that coaching job for financial reasons and returned to teaching. But next Monday, she's back to footy as a development coach for St Kilda and holding the highest coaching position held by a woman in the AFL.
I think I had a range of feelings at the time. There was excitement. There was probably a, oh, shit moment. Seriously, am I good enough? Am I capable? When I walked into the doors this morning, when I was introduced to the player group, the reception that I got from them was great, the big cheer and, many of them coming up and introducing themselves. I think what I bring to St Kilda Football Club is I've come from a different background. Coaching, it's a bit like teaching and a bit like parenting, There's a whole range of extras that you do, which is just part of duty of care and caring for people. Coming into football at a full-time system has definitely actually enabled me to be home more, so the kids are definitely well loved and well supported. It's an interesting question that often gets asked about, you know, being the first woman. And so when I was first appointed, I didn't really see it as that way.
Women's Round is a chance to recognise the ladies that work in football. Join us as we celebrate Women's Round.
But I know the rest of the world certainly did.
Peta Searle, single mum from Melbourne, has made Australian history.
She has been named as St Kilda's new assistant coach. It's the highest position a woman has ever held in AFL.
I took gender out of it. I think what's required for a female to gain the respect of a male-dominated sport is probably what's required regardless of what gender you are. And that is, you know, to be yourself, to be hard-working, to be dedicated to the cause and, you know, to care about people.
For me right now, it's just about, you know, getting into work and getting the job done and doing it really well.
I don't think in terms of coaching the girls versus coaching the boys that I change at all. I think when you're coaching people, that's what's important. It doesn't matter whether they're males or females, whether they're younger or they're older. I mean, you know, people are all unique and they all have their own personalities, and so you approach each person differently. So that's my philosophy in coaching is I coach the person. I just think it's important that you don't really take no for an answer, and you need to really sometimes just think outside the square to make opportunities happen, and perseverance is definitely a key. You know, I learnt very early in life that things don't go your way, and you can either whinge or moan or be bitter or better. So I've always chosen to try and be better. You know, and if someone says no, I'm always already thinking, okay, well, what can I do? So I never accept no. You know, coaching's a hard place. Leadership's lonely. Leadership when you're the only female in a male coaching staff is more so lonely. And, you know, there was times when, you know, I really wanted to give up, absolutely. I didn't give up as much as at times I wanted to, because I just thought if I did quit, what would that look like? And maybe it was a responsibility that I didn't have to take on, and maybe that was just my own perception. But it was certainly one that I just didn't want to let females down. So, you know, I didn't quit and I continued to stay. I crawled so other people could walk in football. Look, I'm fine with that. I just love watching Loz and Daisy and Woody now coach. At the end of the day, I don't think myself as a trailblazer. I'm just doing what I do and trying to do it to the best that I can. My legacy in life is really about just opening doors for people. A lot of the reasons I did what I have done is to be a role model, not just for the wider community, but, you know, probably most importantly for my own kids, and especially my own daughter. They're 18 and 16 and still choosing to come back and be with you here, so that's what makes this place special. I think perhaps when I walk away from it, I'll look back at it and say, yeah, wow, but when you're in it at the time, you're just always concentrating on what you have to do. That was a little bit like at Darebin when we won the 5 years in our row. It was always, I didn't appreciate the magnitude until I walked away from the club and start, you know, socialising with people from other football clubs. And you think, wow, that was a pretty good effort, wasn't it? So I have a feeling that the magnitude of what's happening now, you know, will be appreciated or look back at when I'm out of it.
Maybe you should try sticking